Right, okay, everyone. I am gonna hit my Chaos Space Marines now. What is it about Chaos Space Marines that I love so much? I think one thing that we have to say about Games Workshop is quite early on, in their kind of lore, in their designs, and a lot of things, they kind of hit some concepts just perfectly. The idea of a space marine with their power armor, they weren't the originator of that idea, but they came up with a design concept that just hit perfect. Then what they did is they decided to create the Horus Heresy, and that inevitably led to the idea of Rebel Space Marines, which inevitably led the idea of Chaos Space Marines, and they hit that very early on. And I think it's a core thing, really, that they basically got the design concept, and the miniatures have improved over time, but the very idea of it was perfect to begin with, and there is no other way to put that. And that's something that I will always praise Games Workshop for, getting that idea perfect early on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put together these Chaos Space Marines. And I'm going to start off with kind of the core bodies behind these. So what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to get out this 105. So kind of clipped a bit before, just kind of getting excited to build it. 104, which is one of the legs. Now, what I do hate about this kit is the parts are all over the place, unfortunately. Okay. And then I need to kind of head over to this sprue over here, and I need to get 116 out. Now, what's going to happen is this guy is going to be, I think the term is a Legionnaire champion, aspiring champion. So, as I said, I think personally, I believe that they got the idea pretty cool very early on, pretty on point very early on. This idea of chaotic Space Marines. More than that, very spiky Space Marines. I've heard different hypotheses about where the Horus Heresy came from and the war between the legions came from. And someone actually tried to tell me, and I don't know if it's true. I'd love to know if it's true. That actually what they tried to do basically is they wanted to release a box game of plastic miniatures, except all they really had plastic miniatures at the time was the Beaky Marines. So of course that's all they had really, plastic wise, and they had to come up with a perfectly reasonable reason to basically get people to buy armies of Space Marines that would fight each other, and that led to the fluff behind the Horus Heresy and so on. I don't know how true that is. I'm willing to bet that just that's a fan made belief, but actually, if that is true, then that's quite cool how they needed to sell. They wanted to really sort of push selling a load of Space Marine models in a box game, and their idea was to basically say, yeah, so there was this really big fight between factions within the Imperium, and then over time that developed beautifully into the lore for the Horus Heresy, which then evolved over time with, Horus being more than just one of the Emperor's generals, but actually his son. And, it's just cool how that kind of all came about. I think it's Dave Paints recently shared an old piece of Horus Heresy artwork, a grayscale piece of Horus's battle barge with the Emperor. You know, it's just so beautiful, this kind of thing that goes on. I love it, really. Right. Okay. Where are we now? I need part 107, which isn't here. I think by the time I do my next video, I'm going to be a bit more sensible and map out everything properly. Right, I'm going to get 110 out so I can paint this, so I can do this plasma pistol, actually, because I love plasma pistols. They look so cool. They do. They look really cool. In fact, you get 2 plasma pistol options on this. Okay. Now, where is that arm? Where is that arm? Yeah, next time I do one of these, I'm going to be a sensible person and actually plan things out properly and paint my colours on, because I am now kind of staring at these kits going, where are the arms I need? Here we go. 107 over here. Now, since I'm here as well, let's see if I can find... Now, it says it's 81 that I'm looking for. But sometimes, as we know doing these, sometimes on rare occasions, they do actually misnumber the parts. So it's not uncommon when we actually look properly for it to be a different number. Like, for example, personally on the sprue, it doesn't look like 108. It looks like it doesn't look like 81. It looks like 108 to my mind. But the question about that is trying to find part 81 to discount that claim. Which, let's have a quick look. See, it just makes sense that it's actually that part there, because, to be quite honest, aside from looking like it, it makes sense that it's the next one up. Plus, with the fact that the actual axe that he can carry being 109, to my mind, this makes perfect sense that it's actually 108. Could be wrong about that, but one thing I do like about these kits, this kit in particular, because I have built this one before quite a while ago when I was doing a Night Lords themed army. I kind of came across I found that, you know, you had a bit of freedom about putting them together, which I liked. Not too much freedom. You've still got to be kind of careful about putting things together, but overall, you know, I'm not too worried if it is the wrong arm, because the bodies can, particularly the champion model, can take a bit of flexibility in its options. Now, what I'm going to do as well is a personal preference on this kit. I'm actually going to do this 112, which is the Maul arm, and I'm going for this one as his actual weapon. I really like this weapon. It really reminds me, as a very, you know, it's a power maul, kind of reminds me in a very basic way of the power maul Horus is holding in a piece of artwork and on the actual miniature. There we go. I'm not going to try and pop these on the miniature just yet, because what I want to do, let's just let that dry a second. Now, choices of heads. on this guy. We have quite a few options here, and but what you've got to remember is this is kind of the aspiring champion, so really you should be heading over here and looking at 120 or sorry, here. Yeah, it is. It's 120 and number 90. Again, just kind of have a check though, because it's saying 117 on the instructions as well. So that's this one over here. But I think any of these where they've got particularly tall horns work perfectly fine for the aspiring champion. This top knot one works very well for a champion, particularly if you are planning on doing the Black Legion. The Black Legion have, I suppose, like, it's common to see those top knots. I'm going to go grab this 117. And the reason I want this one in particular, this tall one, is because I'm actually going to do word bearers. Well, not actually word bearers. I'm going to create my own successors to the word bearers. Not exactly what you might call, if it was a normal Space Marine region, it would be called a successor chapter, but with it Chaos Space Marines, it's a splinter faction or splinter warband, however you want to kind of phrase it. So that's my intention. I'm actually planning on having a splinter warband themed based upon the idea of the word bearers, but not actually word bearers. And it'll just give me a bit more freedom with how I paint them. Now, I'm putting the arms in position first. The reason I want the arms in position first is because I want the head responding to the body pose, to the arm poses. There we go. Really want him facing down the barrel of the gun there. Okay, moving on from there. I need to put myself on a backpack. And we need to find backpack 140. So what it has, 140, is it has a kind of... Let me have a look. Oh, right, so we've got a choice actually of 143 or 140, according to this. Except when I look, that actually doesn't add up to my mind. We've got 143 here with the skulls on it. There's another similar to it, which is this one. No, so that's not the one, is it? Yeah, I'm looking for basically another one with skulls. There we go. So we got a choice of these two here. So I think I will go for this one, which is 140. I like the look of it. I kind of like those skulls as well. You got a bit of freedom as well about how you paint them up. So you could have them literally as skulls, actual real skulls. Or you could have them as skull decorations, you know, like maybe set bronze or something similar. Okay, now want to put a little bit of, now there's a little bit of decoration that we put on the top of this, which is either this Horned Demon Head 26 or this Space Marines helmet on a spike, which is number 89. You know, I think because I'm going word bearers, I like the idea of more demonic looks to everything. I really want to push the demonic looks on these guys. If you understand your word bearers and their splinter ward bands, they truly and absolutely go full-blown demonic. Same with true with quite a lot of Black Legion. Okay, and now we need to pop some shoulder pads on here. So shoulder pads you've got a bit more freedom with. However, it's good to begin with to get 114. And I'm going to pop that on here. Like so, and then we can actually choose our other shoulder pad really, so we got a bit of freedom on that front. However, the shoulder pad that you tend to use will be one of those without any decorations on it, and that's because this shoulder pad tends to all be where you put the actual symbol and heraldry of your Renegade Warband or Traitor Legion, and it's important to know the difference between a Renegade chapter, Renegade Warband, and a Traitor Legion. A Traitor Legion is one of the 9 legions that directly rebelled against the Imperium during the Horus Heresy. A Renegade Warband can be a chapter of Space Marines after the Heresy that rebelled, or it could be a splinter of a legion, so a group of Chaos Space Marines who've left a legion behind and formed their own personal warband. All of these can happen, you know, it doesn't really matter too much, but your heraldry will go on that one there. Okay, there we go. I still need to kind of pop a base on this guy. Which I'd left over the other side of the room, not thinking. But there we have it. That is our aspiring champion. And I love this. I love these guys. They look really cool. As I said, I think they've got really a good look to them personally. Anyway, so I'm just going to end it with building that single one for now, because it's 20 minutes it took that video, so it's best to break these down into lots of small videos. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you when I build my next Chaos Space Marine.